Testing 1, 2. Looks like we have good audio levels, and I am live. Thanks for stopping by. Bronze Dragon here, doing my weekly stand-up meeting. Usually about Splinterlands in general, but also not limited to other blockchain games such as Splinterforge, Golem Overlord, Terracore, and I've slowly getting a longer and longer list. Usually we look at the notes from the town hall. The town hall this week yielded some information as far as how the game's going and how they want to proceed, especially changing over to every other week type of town hall instead of every week. I think that's a good change because I think some weeks they just generally didn't have enough content to warrant a 2-hour meeting. Although Aggie did say that he would come on every week and, you know, the in-between weeks and answer questions and things like that. So I think it's a nice thing. It's a good PR move, right? That's basically what these are. It's PR to let the investors, which in fact what we are is investing in an ecosystem, give good marketing, right? Because Lord knows they need it, because some of the other marketing decisions they've made in the past have not gone over too well. But as far as having the every other week town halls, I think that's a good decision. I think the major announcement and thing they talked about this week was the roadmap and where things are going, which is just like a general kind of heading thing, because like a few other YouTubers have talked about this past week, if you look at roadmaps, the prior roadmaps, a lot of that stuff they had in the roadmaps from before just didn't get done. Okay, for whatever reason, prioritization, the market being down, things of this nature. I do like the fact, from a development standpoint, that they are using the agile method now, and it's very much straightforward, the planning. But once again, the agile method, much different than the waterfall method. If you're into developing, things get dropped. I mean, reprioritizations, and the game changes. But I think they really have to be in this kind of market. You have to change. So they have to change on the dime and start prioritizing, getting rid of bots except for in wild, the prioritization of land, and several other things that are coming up. So we can look at this, the Age of the Phoenix, which is the upcoming age, which is a combination of different sprints. Obviously they have land 1.5 prioritized with asset staking, plot clearing. I'm sure you guys have all seen this. They're redoing ranked battles. Like I said, they're still working on blocking bots from modern, which is a big change. And we've been talking about that over the last several weeks since, it passed, and what all that entails in the game. I've done several videos on how that's going to affect my personal play. I think my secondary account will shift over into Wild and will still play with Archmage, but I think at least for the first season or two, I'm going to maintain my main account and just play it as normal in modern and see how I do. I know I'm not going to do as well as the bot does, obvious reasons. I haven't played in quite a long time, but I am striving to improve my game, because also both of my accounts are now in guilds. So speaking of that, I have to do my guild brawls later on today for 2 accounts. So my primary, let's see, I am checking because I forget what I took. It's probably silver, because yeah, it's silver. So my primary account is going to play silver brawls, and my secondary account I got put into gold foil bronze, because my secondary account is it's a middle of the road silver account. It's not a maxed out silver account by all means, and this will be the first time I've tried doing gold foil bronze, so we'll see. Gathering, hey, how's it going? Says he's doing a garage sale. Will be mostly AFK, but wanted to say good morning. Well, good morning to you. I hope you do well in your garage sale. You got any magic cards for sale? Looking forward to that set at the end of the month. I know I am, the Lord of the Rings set. That's really a little side project. If you're interested in actual TCG's physical cards, I am going to be starting up a secondary account, secondary YouTube channel. I didn't want to kind of, this main channel I have is aimed at, online gaming in general, but specifically more blockchain gaming, with Splinterlands being the root game that I play. But the root of all this, my love of games, well, my love of games started with Dungeons and Dragons in 1979, but my love of card games started with Magic the Gathering in the mid to late 90s. So, and I didn't want to kind of, I felt it warranted a second account so that the online gaming and the actual physical gaming didn't get meshed. And people who are only interested in online gaming, get all the alerts for the card games, the physical gaming, and they're like not interested in it. But I will start putting the links to that channel, and I'll do like an announcement video when I get it up and running. But I am interested in the Lord of the Rings set going live at the end of this month. Jedi Sky Knight, good morning. Good Saturday morning or afternoon or evening, depending upon where you are. Did you find the build useful? Did I find what build useful? Maybe I am not understanding. Gathering goes on to say, no cards for sale, but if you're in Southwest Michigan, stop on by. I am not in Southwest Michigan. I am in Eastern Pennsylvania. And by the way, this week, earlier in the week, if you were watching the news, we got smoked out. All that smoke from the Canadian wildfires, it was terrible around here. I had to double mask. It was like walking, if you've ever burned leaves in the yard, it's like walking right into the smoke of the leaves burning and just standing there. It was terrible this week for 2 days. The one day it started, it was pretty bad. The second day, it kind of lightened up. And then by the third day, Friday, it was better. So Gathering says, yes, thanks, Jedi, but the scatter shot is brutal for my new account. Okay, so you must be referring to the common Splinterforge series that Gathering is doing. Yep, I've been trying to keep up with that, but lots of things going on. It's a very nice series in the fact that it's a good viewpoint. I like this whole viewpoint because my main channel here with Splinterlands, there were so many other channels dedicated towards, hey, I'm spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and this is how I play. And I'm like, well, that's fine, but that doesn't jive with how I'm going in and my experience in the game is going to be. And I think that applies to most games. You have this experience way up here where you're spending thousands of dollars. Then you have the experience for the average casual guy coming in, just spending a few bucks here and there. So the experience in both games is going to be completely different. So I like the aspect of coming in from the common hero and looking at it from the ground up. Jedi says, that's why you use Lily and Yasik, not that expensive to rent and more than make it up for in Forge earnings. Okay, this is interesting because I have not rented Lily out and used. I do commonly use Yasik in Splinterforge. I commonly play in Silver. Let's jump over to Splinterforge since we're talking about Splinterforge. Let's do a refresh here. I had just checked my battles earlier. Oh, the boss just died. Silver boss just died. I got 6,000 Forge. And we got a fresh boss up. And it does not look like I haven't played it yet. So anyway, Silver Boss just died. So I've been doing pretty good. Once in a while, I've been limiting out force field, because for some reason my hand does not play well against force field. And my secondary account is playing bronze. It's just kind of there. It's just kind of chugging along, not doing too great. I kind of made some changes in the line of what Gathering was talking about on his videos. They didn't really work out well for me for some reason, but I still need to play with that, play around with that. But still going pretty strong. As far as Splinterforge goes this week, my main move was I advanced my wand to 2nd level. I do have it double socketed with +4 in each, and I'm playing in silver, so I was at 12 damage, and by upping it to 2nd level, I got my damage up to 14. Yeah, so 14. I'm still kind of hampered by speed. Speed is, the all-time what you really want, but it's really expensive to get as far as boots and rings go. But I do pretty well. Lately, I've been using the wizard a lot with the last boss. So, yeah, my move was to up my weapon. And now the next thing is I need to up my bow, which is another expensive undertaking, right? I have it double socketed as well with +4, but I do need to make that jump to the 2nd level, which is kind of expensive. Let's check Splex just for the sake of argument. Yeah, 1 BCX of bow is going to be 59,000. Jedi says, yep, Splinterforge meta is speed. Yeah, it's all about speed. And, I talk about it in all my videos. That was very apparent as soon as the game came out, really. As soon as we started playing it for a while, it was very apparent. And that's part of why, that's the main reason that I went ahead and bought a ring early on. So, yeah. It's all about speed if you're thinking about playing the game. And you have to keep your eye on your max level stats. And by what I mean is, like, I have some stats that are way above what I play in silver. So in silver, your max level is going to be 15. So if I wanted to go up to gold, I could, but I wouldn't get... I played in gold for a while, and I just did not perform as well in gold as I do in silver. Now, one thing I will note, one of the newer gems I got was this Polished Heart's Blood rune, which seemed to up my damage by a decent amount. So if you have an open slot, I would say play around with it and put one of those in there, and it'll up your damage by a decent amount. 4% chance to inflict bleeding, 3 rounds, rounded down for 3 turns, and it's stackable. So there's one other rune that I have not played around with, but I would like to, and that is the Glowing Critical Strike rune. Okay, so that gives you an 11%, well, it gives you a percentage chance, depending upon what rarity, to hit and inflict a bunch of extra damage. Jedi says, imagine a build where your tank is the last one standing and everybody's died to fatigue. That's interesting. Well, another thing that was very apparent when Splinterforge started out was these big damage builds, these big damage hands. The actual hero is the one doing the majority of the damage, and not really the cards. The cards do, do some damage, but not a whole ton. So let's go back to Splinterlands, and like we talked about blocking bots. We've talked about that. I'm glad that they're putting extra time into it, and they're not just putting the standard some Band-Aid on it. I'm glad that they're taking a little time to look at it from all angles and see what they want to do and how to implement it so that it does good for the game. I think it's going to be good for the game. And this is from a guy who uses Archmage, right? And the reason, frankly, the only reason I started using Archmage last year was the fact that they kept coming out on these. Whenever they would talk about it, they would be always very adamant. Aggie was always adamant. There's always going to be bots. You know, my personal opinion is some of the team probably run large amounts of bots. Okay, or in the early period of the game, they were getting a primary source of money off all the bot farmers who were buying the spell books. Or maybe, you know, there's a lot of maybes there, and this is all speculation, right? But I kept asking myself, why would they want so many bots in the game? And if you've been around for a while, you can see how it's affected the game. And every major change most major changes within the game have really been aimed at trying to curtail bots and at the same time allow them. I'm like, how is this working out? And each change basically amounted to those of us who weren't bot farmers paying more to play the game. So Jedi says the June outflow of things seems to have moved to the July timeframe. Yeah, everything was moved back. We saw that announcement. You know, Weirdbeards have been pretty upfront about it, and you know, they've made some announcements in the past. I agree with what they're doing in the fact that marketing or somebody in charge of marketing or the chief marketing officer, whoever they are appointing to talk for the company, should make those kind of announcements and not just leave it to engineers or developers, because you know, there's these kind of projects can be delayed by such small things. There's so many different things you have to look at before making just what may seem to be kind of a middle-of-the-road change to the game, has all these spiderling effects that come out from it. So you have to test it as good as possible before you go ahead and implement it. I'm sure, you know, this being a down market, that they're also dealing with, I don't know, maybe they've got to crunch corners and they don't have as many hours for developers. Maybe something else came up. Maybe it's just the fact that, like we said before, they're working on an agile system and they're taking and reprioritizing things, so some things get pushed back. Myself, I would rather them take the time and test it before pushing it out than pushing out something and, you know, hosing the system or breaking something, or, you know, completely taking the game down, or God forbid ruining the economy worse than what it already is. You know, there's so many different things that could happen. So I'd rather them take the time and do it rather than fix it. Now, that's kind of against the agile system, because agile system is kind of like roll constant changes out, keep nice steady progress out, and just fix stuff after you push it out. So you know, I prefer like a mixture between the agile and the waterfall method, but that's just me. But yeah, back to your point, it has slowed down. We see that Soulkeep is still set to release before August. I'm not really that interested in Soulkeep. I love those type of games. You know, sitting down, playing on my phone, playing on the iPad. Very interested in it. When they announced Soulkeep, I was very interested in it because I love that type of game. But once I started seeing the artwork and how it was working, I just jumped back. I bought a few packs. I've got a few packs there just because it's bringing me a little bit of SBS in. But I don't know. We'll see when it goes live and I try a few battles, because up to now I haven't been able to try it out because I'm not one of the big investors, right? You had to have some obnoxious amount of packs bought to be able to be in the beta. So So that is set to release, and we'll see. That's a different team working on that, though. So another item that was interesting, the quarterly promo card sales, they're still on that. They still have that on their docket. That'll be interesting. Yeah, we're all card players, right? We like seeing new cards. I just really hope that they don't go the route of Zerial and make this ultra expensive card. So there's like no value, in my opinion. I know there's YouTubers out there that are like, oh yeah, I spent $4,000 on this card. It's the best thing ever. But you know what? I just didn't see the value in that. So I hope there's some middle of the road cards or lower end cards that most people can get their hands on and make use of. I love Salty Bear. I play him all the time. I play him. In fact, he's usually in my Splinterforge hand as well. You know, great. A great buffer, great big tank. I do want to, I think I've got him at level 7. I do want to get him to level 8. So, you know, commons, rares. You know, everybody likes the high-end cards, but they end up being really expensive. Although I think that the Zerial was overly expensive for what it brought to the game. I thought it was cool. Dual Splinter, what's not to like about that? Very cool, you know. I like the storyline behind it as far as being the fallen angel and everything. Great work, just too expensive. So, and then they pushed some things out. It looks like Rebellion is going to be pushed out. The SPS validators, you know, my brother has a validator node, still waiting for those to go live. I didn't buy a node. Jedi says, looking at this lull as an accumulation phase to get my deck to where I want it and hope the SPS rentals are competitively priced. Yeah, I agree. It's been very tempting. And in fact, I have made some moves. My primary moves this past week have been to basically strengthen my secondary account so that it can play in silver better. Especially after the changeover, where I'll have to change it over into playing wild when the bot ban comes into, but also primarily to strengthen the cards so that I can play in the new guild brawls that account is now in. So I don't want to be like a skater and just like not participate, right? So I want to participate in the guild brawls, and in fact that will start bringing in, so I can, you know, I can start buying the guild brawl packs and everything. So but yeah, back to your point, the cards are just so tempting. I spent a bunch of money this past week, and last week, and I've been trying to like save a little bit of money, but every time you look at the cards, they're priced so low, you just want to jump in there and grab some, right? So and I have no idea what SPS delegation and rental is going to cost, you know. I haven't heard anything, you know, so who knows? I know I don't have enough SPS. I don't think most people have enough SPS to play where they want to play. But as far as renting SPS, I don't think I'm going to rent SPS. Whatever I have, that's where I'm going to play. And like I've said in some past videos, I think I want to stick at least 70% of max rewards points. I know we've batted this whole, beat this whole subject to death, but my theory is I'm not going to go below 70%. So if it means that I play in silver 3 instead of gold 1 for a while, so be it. You know, that's just where it'll have to be. Accumulate a little bit. Like I said, I've never really pulled any SPS or DEC out of the game. I've just consistently been playing for more than 2 years and just rolling everything in. And, you know, everybody, I've had a few replies on my, well, you just didn't, implying that I have been sucking stuff out of the game. I haven't. In fact, I've never made a penny off this game. I've poured thousands of dollars into it, and just trying to position myself so that I can play the two accounts, one up above a little bit higher than the other one, and just keep them going so I can keep bringing. I think our whole point is to keep investment return coming back in on our investment, right? As well as have some fun playing a game. And it just depends upon how you look at the game and accumulating cards and what your viewpoint is. There was somebody, I'm trying to think of somebody did a video this week where he was talking about are cards a good investment? And he didn't tend to believe that it was a good investment. I've always made videos that looked at improving the play strength of my deck first, and then secondary, if I could pick up a few cards that might be worth extra down the road, go for it. Jedi says, my goal is at least gold 3, and my SPS is nowhere near what I need. I've taken out close to 1600 SPS, but I reinvested in cards only. Yeah, I agree. I think my goal would be gold 3. Because I think, it goes into that whole talking point of what pool you want to be in, right? Because we all know that as you go up from pool to pool to pool, there are going to be more people sinking down after the changes. And so being in that gold pool will be worth potentially even more, right? So as well as thinking about the whole thought process of how a lot of all the bots are potentially going to be coming out of Modern. So that increases the pool size for anybody. If you're able to get into gold in Modern, potentially the pool size and what you make will be more than what you're making now. So that would be Aftersound. Yeah, I agree. It was him. He did a video on, talking about the value of investment in cards. And so if you're interested, go check it out. I watched about 3/4 of it while I was working out the other morning. I've never approached this game as primarily an investment. I mean, I have bought some cards when they were really cheap, like penny cards and stuff like that, hoping that down the road that they went up a little bit and I could resell them. But I'm not throwing my retirement into this game. I think if you throw... we've seen what anything in the crypto market can do. I'm not an investment advisor. In fact, anytime I go and try to buy something that I think is halfway investable, it ends up going down. My brother and I have a running joke that we're like, hey, there's a good price on this card. And he's like, yeah, I bought 10 of them. Cue the price going down. Get ready to buy because the price is getting ready to go down. So in the future, pushed out to Q4 or Q1 of next year, like I said, is Land Phase 2. New cards, Rebellion. If you'll note, Rebellion was supposed to come out in the fall of this year, but it looks like it's going to be pushed out till winter or spring of next year. Yeah, I can see where putting out a whole new set of cards would be a huge undertaking. I mean, not just for the art department, but for everyone who's involved in play testing, things of this nature, as well as thinking about it from the aspect of how all those new card packs hitting the market is going to affect the market. Going back to one of my main points in a previous video, we've got so many changes happening at one time. I kind of agree them pushing out Rebellion. I think it's being pushed out. This is my guess. It's a load of work, right? And they've got so much on their plate right now that it just got pushed out. Jedi says, same. I treat this game as a game and spend only gaming budget to play as competitively as I can, hopefully against humans only. Yeah, that's why I said, going back to my point, is I started using Archmage because they repeatedly said there's always going to be bots in the game. So I'm like, well, if you can't beat them, join them, right? Plus, it keeps a 24-hour play on my accounts, which keeps value coming in. But with that said, I like the point that that the pools are, like, back to my point on the pools changing. When the bots leave, those pools are going to change for the better for us humans. Now, I can't put a number on it. You know, I'm not a math guy, but just logic says when all those bots leave, those set pool sizes will be worth more to each individual person. So that kind of makes you think about it, you know. So maybe I was playing in Diamond, maybe after the changes and I have to stake SPS, definitely don't have enough to play in Diamond, might be able to play in Gold 3. The Gold chests, which I will get, will be far fewer because the Gold 3 I might only be making like 70% or whatever the number turns out to be. But potentially what you get out of them will be worth a lot more. But I will also say that I have never, I won't say I would never, but very infrequently get very much SPS whatsoever out of chests anyway. So I'm not putting my money on season ending or daily chests being, you know, that whole SPS pool being worth a whole lot more. I primarily, when I open a chest, I'm primarily looking for cards, decent cards to improve the strength of my deck, right? Even though they're soulbound now, I'm looking for decent cards to improve the strength of my deck. A few SPS here and there is great. Over the years, I have not made a whole lot of SPS out of chests. If you watch my videos here a couple weeks back, I did open up 2 chests that had like a total of 500 SPS in it for one season end. That's probably the most I've ever made in a chest. Prior to that, I usually get fractions, on a daily basis, and then season ending in Diamond, I've seen 3, 4, 5, 10 SPS in a chest, something like that. So. And of course, they go on to say the general heading of new player experience, improved experience, which they keep talking about, but they were talking about it more specifically in the past. Now they're generalizing that statement and says, oh, we're just improving the experience, which I agree. They definitely need to improve the new player experience, and I've always harked on this. They need to get the marketing working in different ways to bring people into the game, because I don't care. I know there's lots of other YouTubers out there that'll say, oh, we can exist with just what we got. No, we can't. Any game, if it wants to increase in strength and size, needs new players. And to bring new players in, you need good marketing. Not just, I like this 24/7, having Splinterlands live and stuff like that. But you need to do some traditional marketing to get people into your game. And you need to make it easy to roll in and not just say, oh, as soon as you want to play, you have to pay thousands of dollars here, and you have to rent cards, and you have to rent SPS, and then this. Of course, yeah, we want you to come in easily and then ramp up as you decide how much money you want to make within the game, right? I'm not saying come in free and just start making money, because we've seen what's happened with that, with the bots in the past, right? So I just got on a soapbox there. Jedi says, valid point. I prefer cards to strengthen my deck. Yeah, I mean, I've always went about it from there. And watch my videos. I've always approached it from trying to get the best value for the buck. We can go into look at the market and see. I've always approached it and tried to, look at it from the bottom up. In other words, are these cards up here really nice? Oh yeah, I would love to have a tasty Lux Vega, right? I get beat by that card all the time. And if I were coming in to the game and I had a decent amount of money, I would probably buy a Lux Vega instead of investing in higher level, like level 8, 6 or 8 other summoners, just from that kind of point of view. Hey Smoke Lord, thanks for dropping by. Discussing a variety of Splinterlands topics with a little bit of Splinterforge sprinkled in there. but I've also, I've approached it from the bottom up. Hey, Wibble, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. And I think that I put out a video earlier this week on how everybody thought about increasing the strength of my secondary deck. And I think this is going to be my approach as far as adding some level 2, not very expensive legendaries, as well as epics to my hand. In most cases, in my primary deck, these cheaper cards are at proper level, but in my secondary deck, I have very few of them. So Smokelord says, Splinterlands needs to get out of the USA ASAP. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a very valid point. That's a whole secondary subject that I haven't even broached yet. Yeah, the whole thing with the United States attacking crypto, really, it's got me scared as a United States citizen. You know, and if my company was Splinterlands or any crypto related game or anything in the crypto space, I would be strongly considering moving it out of the United States. And this also broaches on a topic that I was kind of discussing with my brother the other day, because we talk about Splinterlands. We both play via text because he lives 14 hours away from me. But my whole thought process was, we're talking about the cards being at a really good price these days. What should we do? You know, there's so many different things to do with your money. And I'm like, in the back of my brain, I'm like, what if the United States shuts down Splinterlands or cracks down so hard that it's just prohibitively expensive, way more expensive than what it is, right? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that, but I do agree that if I was Matt Nagy, I would be strongly considering positioning the company outside of the United States and other things that back end as far as the game, as far as the databases, as far as what services run in the background, what services I think they run on AWS, could be wrong. Positioning and choosing servers and infrastructure outside of the United States. You know, for us people in the United States, it might introduce a little bit of lag time playing the game. But I mean, you know, people in India or something else today would be getting that kind. So just other things to think about, because, you know, the United States is cracking down on crypto. And I think, you know, this is just my personal take on it. It's all because they can't tax it. I mean, they're trying to tax it. As a United States guy here, they're trying right, left, and center to tax everything crypto. But they don't like it because they can't track the money in most cases, you know. I mean, yeah, you can get on the blockchain and you can track down where this went and that went, but it's just prohibitively expensive from a manpower standpoint. And the IRS and stuff, they're looking at a lack of manpower as it is. I'm not arguing for it. I think the tax code in the United States needs to be scrapped, and I think we need to have a flat tax. It's always been but this is not a tax channel. But I'm talking about it because it all goes down to taxation. Okay, they want to prohibit crypto at its root, because it takes away some of the need for the U.S. dollar or whatever country you live in, that unit of money. It takes away that need, and it takes away some of the ability of the government to oppress you as far as the taxation goes. You know, don't get me on my soapbox, but I'm saying that because I think it directly relates to what Smokelord just said. Because I do agree they need to think about positioning their headquarters outside the United States. That's just my take on it. So I'm sure that they've talked about it. Don't know necessarily. But anyway, back to cards, because I love talking about cards. And if you missed it, if anybody's interested in actual physical card games, Magic, and I'm not doing Yu-Gi-Oh, but Magic and Pokemon, I will be starting a secondary account, secondary YouTube account, and I'll link it whenever I get it up and running. I didn't want to mix both my channels because probably a lot of people that are into online crypto-based games are probably not interested in the other card games, so I didn't want to mix up the videos. And Smoke Lord says, yep, that's my philosophy. We think alike. Yeah, I mean, most changes, you know, I'm 52 years old. I'm old enough to have been in the workforce in the United States since I was 11 years old, and we're taxed right, left, and center. And at the risk of this becoming a tax soapbox, I think most decisions that you hear from the government or even from big business, they're all related to money. Most decisions come down to money. So let's leave it at that. Let's say that, yeah, I think that they should at least investigate moving their company out of the United States and their infrastructure that they use, because in various back-end infrastructures now, you can pick where your data resides. And so you can pick that my data resides in maybe a crypto-friendly country on servers, because AWS and Microsoft and the other services that handle the big backhaul type equipment, they exist all over the world. So you can pick where your data resides. And I start talking about that from a development standpoint, not that I'm a developer, but I'm kind of interested in that thing, is because that has a lot to do. If they come after you as a company, you can say, oh, all our stuff exists in, you know, in Europe, somewhere that's crypto friendly, whatever. So anyway, back to the cards. Let me take a drink. Been talking a lot. So yeah, on my secondary account, I do have to do my guild brawls today for both accounts. But I did make some moves because I got assigned a guild brawl this week that was gold foil. And I was hoping to get you all's opinion, because I've never fought in a gold foil, because primarily I don't have a lot of gold foils. It is bronze, so I think I might be able to pull it off. So if anybody has an idea as far as pulling off a gold foil bronze, some strong cards maybe I should rent before I do my brawls, let me know. Smoke Lord says, on a positive note, Chaos Legion packs are $1.08. Wow. Might be a quick profit chance if you're feeling like gambling. I opened 100 the other day, and I paid $1.48 for them. I consider this price point, under $2, I think it's a no-brainer if you haven't bought any packs in a while, to buy yourself some packs, because when I opened those 100 cards, I got more than, you know, the value as far as strengthening my deck. I got more than the value of what I paid for the cards. So Smoke Lord says, I'm loading up on them for sure. Yeah. And Wibble says, is it modern or wild? Well, it's a guild brawl, so it's going to be wild. So as you can see, I have a decent little selection, but I haven't played in bronze for a while, so I don't necessarily know. You know how some cards are great in one level, but not necessarily in another level. So I've been playing in gold and diamond, and some cards which are necessarily good in gold and diamond might not be so good in bronze. Plus, my selection is somewhat limited. I can go out and rent a few, so I was looking for maybe some strong combos. Jedi says, Mylor's always a solid choice in Bronze League. Okay, good point, good point. Let's take a look. Wrong game. Let's see here. Let's go to rental. Let's go to summoners. He's Earth. Mylor. So looks like a level 1 is going for about 4.25 DEC. Is there a value in going in with a level 2 instead of a level 1? Oh, I would have to look at gold foils. Sorry, I just wanted to get an eye on. So a gold foil, that's not bad. I mean, a level 2 gold foil Mylor, 4 DEC a day. And I would only need it for 1 day. So not bad at all. In fact, sorry, a little shopping. I wanted to go ahead and do that while I was thinking about it. Smoke Lord says the EV of packs were like $1.46 according to Peak the other day, but I haven't checked it in the last week. If it's still close to the same, you're definitely making more than you pay over a large sample size. Well, let's look at the market, see what other items. And Chaos Legion $1.25, $1.24.7 on the standard. Standard website. No. Got so many tabs open. So on Hive Engine, 3.79 Hive. Hive's going down a little bit. Hive's dropped like 5 cents. Wonder why Hive dropped. Anybody have any insight why Hive is dropping? My brother texted me this morning. I just didn't really have any insight why Hive would be dropping. Just trying to get a Hive Engine price, 3.79. Let's just go with 3.8 times 0.29. $1.10. So on Hive Engine, they're $1.10. So either way, I mean, that's a good price. I mean, it's a little bit easier to buy it on this account, but that's 15 cents more. You can save 10 cents per pack and buy them on Hive Engine at $1.10. But that really leads me to wonder why Hive has dropped. Look at that. For some reason, it started tanking last night. I don't want to say tanking, but it dropped 5 cents. Look at this. Look at this. This is over 5 days. And then last night, it just tanked for some reason. Yeah, it's not an all-time low. I mean, in January it was lower than where it is now, but that's kind of surprising. Smoke Lord comes in and says SPS at 0.01682. If you need SPS, might be time to get ready for SPS requirements. Yeah, you know what? I had been using Splinter Guide, but for some reason their widgets for SPS and DEC have went down. So yeah, it's been continuing to like drop. And that's surprising too, because I thought with all the moves they've been making lately, it would push the price up, because that's been the whole goal, right? And this is just a guess. Maybe there are just so many people getting out of the game as far as large bot farmers that it's just pushing everything down. Smoke Lord says Peak Monsters has a value estimator of open packs. It was $1.46 value per pack open based on value of cards, might be lower. So at $1.09, you're theoretically making 40 cents per pack open if you sold cards. Yeah, we all know how that goes. And yeah, I remember people talking about that, but I had never really been able to make use of that tool. But I do know that generally speaking, that if you're paying less than $2 for a pack, some packs are going to be stinkers, but generally less than $2 a pack, you're probably going to get your value. And I'm not talking about reselling, because I don't have experience in buying and reselling. I'm talking about value as in improving the strength of your deck. So. And Jedi says, could be because Bitcoin went down to the 25K level. Well, we all know that the crypto market follows Bitcoin. So that may be an issue. I mean, that may be a partial reason. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, the United States coming down on crypto in general, that's having a massive effect on stuff over here in the States as well. I'm sure that this affects everything worldwide, since especially bigger companies, some companies like Splinterlands are based here in the States for the time being, like we were talking about. So everything follows Bitcoin, so that does not surprise me. That's a good point. I didn't know. I don't keep up on Bitcoin. I have a little bit of Bitcoin, just fractions. I don't have a Bitcoin, but yeah. But let's take a look at it. It looks like common totems have went up $17. No, actually they were around 20 to 25, and they've come down a little bit. I have 3 common totems. Land $1.40 back up. I mean, it had come down a little bit. I'm still looking for another plot of land in 133. And I don't necessarily know if I want to buy a swamp. Although there seems to be a lot of swamps in this area. Nate from the art department owns a lot of this, so I'm into buying another. I have plot 1. This is my secondary account, but I have the first plot up here, and I want to buy another one so that I can use my farming approach. As I've talked about before, I have this approach where I'm thinking about having 2 plots of land in the same area, and one plot producing whatever it's good at. Like this is a rare magical land that I have. Wow, sound effects. So magical death, and then a secondary plot to produce food for both of them. So that's going to be my approach. We'll see how it works out. Who knows? I do know that, like I've talked about before, that I think people are going to get hit, especially if you have several lands. You're going to get hit by the price of grain right off if you don't have a plan. So there's that. So I am looking for one more. I am still trying to sell my other land over here in 112 Gillith. I own this one that I've been trying to sell, and it's just sitting there at $70. If it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'll probably just use it in the future to store stuff for other people once they implement that. But I'm not going to take a huge hit on it and sell it for $40 or something like that. Well, I mean, we can wrap up for this week. Anybody else have any things to finish off the hour and talk about? Anything you want to bring up? I have been playing Golem Overlord, and I have been playing Terracore. If you've watched some of my videos, Terracore and Golem Overlord are built off of the same open source code, so they're very similar in some aspects. Check the video. I just did 2 videos the last couple nights comparing them. But they're pretty straightforward games based on older style games that we've probably all played in the past, but brought into the Hive blockchain. So I like the fact of playing multiple games because I find that I shift coinage around. So I make coin in Golem Overlord or Terracore, and I need a little bit in Splinterlands. Like on my secondary account, I had a Djinn Oceanus, but I needed to bring it up to level 2. I needed one more card, so I took some coins out of Golem Overlord, and I traded it for DEC and bought another Djinn Oceanus, and now I have a second level Djinn Oceanus on my secondary account. So I like the fact that they exist on the same blockchain, and the fact that all these games you can trade, buy, sell, trade, back and forth, and make a little money here and use it over here, back and forth. It is getting to the point where I've got too many games I'm playing though, so. So I am playing those. I am still playing Splinterforge. Like I said earlier in the hour, my main move this week was increasing the level of my wand to level 2. It's double socketed with +4 magic, and my next move will be to increase my bow to level 2. But lately I've been using a lot of the mage, so. Well, with that said, we'll wrap out the hour. I do appreciate everyone stopping by. Hope everyone on your end is happy and healthy. And catch you again next week at same bat time, same bat channel. And once again, keep an eye out if you're interested in physical TCGs. I will be starting a secondary channel on YouTube dedicated to Pokemon and Magic the Gathering. With that said, I hope you have a great week. And this is Bronze Dragon saying I'll see you on the flip side.